This woman knew how to party. She hit the club hard that night, and ended up making the same mistake most women do. The next morning she woke up to a shocking truth. Her blind date turned out to be her one-night stand. Her name was Gu Yixue. Her longtime boyfriend had cheated and her wicked stepmother was forcing her into a business marriage that felt like her life had crashed to rock bottom. But Gu Yixue was never the type to play the helpless victim. Still half asleep, she was yanked out of bed by her stepmother, who cursed at her and ordered her to serve the young master of the Lu Corporation. With a cold glare, Gu Yixue shoved her stepmother's hand away. The stepmother never expected this girl to defy her and instantly burst into a furious tirade. But Gu Yixue didn't hold back. She grabbed a glass of water and splashed it right into her face. A mere mistress dares to lecture the real wife. Next time, it won't end with just a glass of water. Her domineering presence was so overwhelming that even the butler beside them trembled in fear. So this is Lu Xiao. Fine, let's see what kind of clown he really is. Soon she arrived at Lu Xiao's mansion. The moment she pushed open the door, a man suddenly wrapped an arm around her waist, lifting her onto the table. "Does your waist still hurt, baby?" he whispered. That face so close, paired with the smooth, practiced motion, struck Gu Yixue with a wave of déjà vu. When the features in front of her overlapped perfectly with the man from last night, her heart screamed, "God, this can't be real. Even comics wouldn't dare write this." Still, her expression stayed perfectly calm as she tried to act like she didn't recognize him. That damn face leaned closer again, when just last night he had been so passionate. But as a woman of pride, how could she let him hold the reins? Gu Yixue yanked his tie down hard. Her lips brushed against his ear as she taunted, "Why should I remember a man who gave me no feeling at all? Do you know the fastest way to break a man's ego?" She leaned in even closer and whispered, "By telling him he means nothing." Liang froze in place. His eyes instinctively dropped to her, only to hear her say coldly, "I just came to see what kind of man my stepmother is clinging to for last night. It was nothing but a mistake." With that, Gu Yixue turned to leave. "Since you're here, why would I let you go?" Liang grabbed her by the waist again. "If I'm not mistaken, I was your first man. Do you expect me to just swallow that insult?" His face pressed in close once more. And without hesitation his hands slid down, skillfully tugging at her clothes. Pushed past her limit, Gu Yixue let out a furious roar, then smashed a bottle right across Liang's head. "So this is all Lu Xiao's got. Better go practice a few more rounds before you embarrass yourself again. Goodbye, President Lu. I won't waste another second on a weakling." With that she slammed the door behind her, leaving Liang staring, his face a storm of mixed emotions. As he watched her walk away, memories surged, back to a stormy night when Gu Yixue had saved him. Ever since, he could never forget that delicate, kind face. The face that healed the wounds of a broken young man. But he clenched his jaw and swore to himself, "No matter what, in the end she will be mine." When Gu Yixue returned home, the housekeeper hurried up and told her there was a guest waiting. She stepped into the living room and froze. Her ex-boyfriend Mu Xiaochen stood before her. The scumbag smirked first. "Why are your clothes in such a state?" With a show of false tenderness, he slipped off his coat and draped it over her shoulders. But as Gu Yixue looked at that hypocrite, memories of his betrayal flooded her mind. She yanked the coat off and flung it aside. "Your clothes? I wouldn't dare wear them. I'd feel filthy. You're a married man now. Why act so devoted? Or do you want me to remind you just how pathetic our breakup was?" With just one sentence, Gu Yixue left Mu Xiaochen speechless, his face stiff with embarrassment. And right on cue, Xie Jianing arrived, clinging to his arm and chattering away, pretending she had only just noticed Gu Yixue nearby. She gasped dramatically, covering her mouth. "Oh my Yixue, why are your clothes in such a state? Don't tell me you were fooling around with some random man. How shameless." Talk about an entrance, straight to a verbal strike. Xie Jianing wasn't just anyone. She was the mayor's daughter and Mu Xiaochen's brand new wife. Gu Yixue locked eyes with her and spat out each word clearly. Shameless. The one seducing married men caught red-handed in bed. That's what shameless looks like. Are you talking about yourself? Like a cat with its tail stepped on, Xie Jianing snapped. Believe it or not, I'll have you locked up. She raised her hand to strike. But Gu Yixue caught her wrist and flung it aside with ease. Xie Jianing, as a lawyer I should remind you. According to criminal law, anyone guilty of unlawful detention faces up to 3 years in prison. Add physical assault and the penalty becomes even heavier. Realizing she couldn't win with words, Xie Jianing switched tactics, sneering. The Gu family's about to go bankrupt. If you're so capable, why don't you just snag Lu Liang instead? Everyone in B City knows. The Lu Corporation pressured the banks, that's why your Gu family's finances collapsed. Hearing that familiar name again, Gu Yixue gritted her teeth. Why does his shadow appear everywhere? Fine, it's time we settled this face to face. Fuming, she stormed straight into Lu Liang's villa, only to catch him right as he was about to dive into the pool. For a split second she was caught staring at the sharp lines of his abs. Liu Liang smirked. What's this? Couldn't wait another second to see me? Before she could respond, he plunged into the water with a splash. Gu Yixue snapped coldly. I didn't come to watch you swim. Just answer me, was it you who blocked the bank loans to the Gu family? Slicking back his wet hair, Lu Liang stretched out a hand. I can give you the answer, but only if you pull me up. Her eyes narrowed at that outstretched hand. Something felt off, but after a moment's hesitation she still reached out. Hush. As expected, he yanked her straight into the water. With her in his arms, Lu Liang whispered with a wicked smile. Now, let me give you a lesson in love you'll never forget. Lu Liang told Gu Yixue that her stepmother, Mu Yakin, only chased profits and never considered risks, causing the Gu Corporation's investments to go completely up in smoke. With the gap widening, no bank was willing to take on Gu's debts. Even when her father, Gu Changhong, bowed and scraped for help, he was swatted away like an annoying fly. Lu Liang locked eyes with her and said firmly, I don't own the banks, but I can't pressure them all at once, don't give me too much credit. Gu Yixue shot back coldly, if this has nothing to do with you, then why do you keep interfering in my family's mess? What role are you really playing here? The savior of the Gu family. He pulled her by the waist, speaking with deep affection. As long as you become my Mrs. Lu, every problem your family faces will vanish. But Gu Yixue shoved him away and slowly rose to her feet. So that's your true motive. Sorry, young Master Lu, you'll be disappointed that I won't sacrifice myself for the family. If it wasn't your scheme behind this, then don't bother meddling further. The company my mother left behind, I'll protect it myself. At the same time elsewhere, a fat man was enjoying himself in a club, drinking, singing, arms wrapped around women, lost in pleasure. Then suddenly, a pair of elegant high heels stepped into his view. It was Gu Yixue, dressed to kill. Her slender fingers swirled a half-full glass of red wine, the stem glinting between her nails. She leaned lazily against the sofa, her eyes hazy. President Jean, why don't I share a drink with you? About my family's loan? Could you show a little mercy? What man could resist such a scene? President Jean immediately reached out with greedy hands. Of course. But tell me, how exactly will you repay me? Gu Yixue blinked her wide, doll-like eyes, feigning innocence. I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean. He chuckled darkly, yanking her into his arms. Spend one night with me and I'll make sure your family's loan can be paid back whenever you like. His hands began to roam shamelessly. Seeing those filthy hands, a flash of coldness lit up in her eyes. With a swift twist, she slipped out of his grasp. Her grip tightened around the recorder hidden in her palm. It was her last lifeline. President Jean, isn't this blatant abuse of power a little too much? But as a seasoned banker, Jean was no stranger to scandals. His greedy gaze lingered on her curves. Gu Yixue's voice turned icy. I can upload this recording anytime. Let the entire B city see what kind of man you really are. The moment I decide, your career is finished. Jean only sneered, unfazed. Feisty. I like that. But Miss Gu, maybe you should first make sure you can walk out of this room. What do you mean? Gu Yixue demanded, only to feel a heavy wave of drowsiness crashing through her body. The drug was kicking in. At the perfect time. Jin's lecherous grin widened in the dim light. Her head growing heavier by the second, Gu Yixue realized she had fallen into his trap. Forcing herself upright, she tried to threaten him with the law. But President Jean only sneered. What a joke. My Jean family holds power in B City. Playing with a woman is nothing. You dare to trick me. Just wait and see what I'll do to you. As he stepped closer, Gu Yixue clenched her jaw and summoned the last of her strength. Her foot lashed out. Arg! Jean collapsed to his knees in pain, giving her a precious chance. Weak and trembling, she staggered for the door. She pushed it open, her body tipping forward, straight into a broad, powerful chest. The man looked down at her with displeasure, voice cold as ice. "You've overstepped your bounds." President Jin's eyes went wide in shock at the sight of the unexpected intruder. With the last flicker of consciousness, Gu Yixue recognized Lu Liang and fainted into his arms. Lu Liang's voice cut through the room like a blade. "President Jin, you've crossed my bottom line. Pray you tread carefully." With that, Lu Liang carried the unconscious Gu Yixue out, leaving President Jin trembling, and his bodyguards looking far too eager. Moments later, screams like a slaughtered pig echoed through the room. In another room, Gu Yixue stirred awake. As her eyes fluttered open, she realized a familiar man was pressing down on her. "Lu Liang, what are you doing?" she cried out in shock. Her only answer was a domineering kiss. "Now you'll learn the price of trying to seduce another man." His face darkened with fury. "You just won't behave, will you? Since you like throwing yourself at someone, then I'll oblige." He crushed her lips again, the air thick with heat and raw desire. "If you'd just bow your head, you wouldn't have to suffer like this." His gaze burned as he stared at the woman still trying to act strong. "Looks like I've been far too indulgent with you." A wave of heat coursed through her body and Gu Yixue's heart screamed in panic. "Not good." With sudden strength, she shoved him off, grabbed a bottle of mineral water and poured it over her head. The cold rush jolted her back to clarity. Lu Liang stood quietly to the side, watching her every move. "While I'm still clear-headed, I need to get out of here." Staggering, Gu Yixue rushed toward the door. She ran right into her late-arriving best friend, Lin Fei. Seeing the frail woman collapse into her arms, Lin Fei's face darkened. "What on earth happened to you?" "Don't ask, Fei Fei, just get me out of here," Gu Yixue muttered, her voice tinged with guilt and shy embarrassment. "All right, let's go, now." Watching their backs fade into the distance, Lu Liang murmured, "Smarter than I thought. Prepared even. Gu Yixue, when will you finally learn to rely on me?" He turned to the bodyguard at his side. "Follow them. Make sure they get home safely." At Lin Fei's place, the drug's effects slowly wore off. Lin Fei exhaled in relief. "Thank heaven those old bastards used low-grade stuff. Otherwise, you'd be in real danger." Her words came like a sharp lecture. Then she leaned in, eyes sparkling with curiosity. "So, how on earth did you end up tangling with Lu Liang?" "I've heard about him," Lin Fei continued. "They say he's surrounded by countless women, but never lets a single leaf stick. Any woman he sets his eyes on, she either loses her heart or her body." Gu Yixue gave an awkward laugh. "Fei Fei, don't overthink it. How could I possibly be involved with him? Besides, I have more important things to handle right now." Lin Fei's doubtful expression lingered. Gu Yixue spoke slowly. "Contact President Jin. What happened today, I'm not letting it slide. Karma always comes around. Just yesterday this fat man tried to force himself on her, and now he stood before her like a mummy wrapped in bandages." Staring at his pathetic appearance, Gu Yixue couldn't help but chuckle. Yet the man still had the gall to sneer. "If you don't please me today, I'll make sure your Gu family never rises again." "Oh really? President Jin, still thinking about that in your condition? Abuse of power, corruption, attempted assault. Any one of those charges would ruin you." She dangled the recorder in her hand, smiling mischievously. Jin lunged forward, snatching the device and smashing it underfoot. Let's see what tricks you have left now." "Sorry to disappoint you. I've got plenty more copies. Want me to play them for you, President Jin?" "Gu Yixue, what exactly do you want?" His tone finally softened. Her eyes hardened as she declared, "I want you to extend the Gu family's repayment period indefinitely." "Bank loans aren't decided by me alone," President Jin muttered, still trying to stall. But Gu Yixue only sneered. "Oh, did I forget to mention? Aside from this recording, I've gathered evidence of the girls you harassed and coerced. Put it all together and ruined reputation will be the least of your worries." Her eyes gleamed with confidence. Realizing his dirty secrets were in her hands, Jin had no choice but to give in. A week later, with the Gu family's financial crisis finally resolved, Gu Yixue walked down the street with pride, only to run into Lu Liang on his stroll. She spoke coldly, "The Gu family's crisis is over. We don't need our so-called savior anymore. Oh, no, let's call it goodbye forever." With that she spun on her heel and walked away. Watching her figure fade, Liang murmured, "This girl. She fixes the crisis, then turns around and exposes President Jean. Such a ruthless move. But I, Liang, never let anything I desire slip away." He slowly pulled out his phone, releasing evidence of the Gu executive's tax evasion. "The bigger the chaos, the better. This time I'll make sure you come begging to me." With her family's troubles behind her, Gu Yixue officially joined one of the top firms in the city, Manhwa law offices. She was just about to enjoy a rare moment of peace when a co-worker rushed in. "The new intern is on the rooftop with Liang. She says if he refuses her, she'll jump." Without hesitation, the team raced toward the rooftop. Liang looked calmly at the girl teetering on the rooftop's edge. "Sorry, and you are?" "President Lu, please give me a chance to be your girlfriend. I promise you'll fall in love with me," she pleaded earnestly. He scoffed. "Whether you jump or not is your business. But don't waste my time. Anyone truly set on dying doesn't spend hours dressing up first. Do you take everyone here for fools?" His blunt words left the girl speechless. She tried again, unwilling to give up. "You actually love me too, right? You just can't say it, you must have your reasons." With a single command from Liang, several bodyguards rushed forward, pinning her firmly to the ground. Still struggling, she shouted, "Even if I fail today, I'll risk my life again. Just admit you love me." His voice turned to ice. "If you want to die, that's your choice. But why would I waste my time on a stranger?" Hearing Liang's cold dismissal, the girl on the edge snapped like she'd been struck by lightning. "Liang, you heartless bastard. You'll never have a good ending. I know every detail of your case. I'll hand it all to your competitors. I'll destroy you and your company with my own hands." From the side, Gu Yixue frowned in disgust. "Is this girl brain dead?" She'd witnessed the whole scene just now, and this rant only made it worse. Gu Yixue finally cut in. "Enough. You studied law, didn't you? Do you even realize the consequences if this little outburst makes it public?" The girl froze, horror dawning across her face. In the next moment, Liang's bodyguards dragged her away. "So, Lawyer Gu," Liang smirked, slipping an arm around her shoulder, "were you standing up for me just now? Or were you jealous seeing someone else claim they liked me?" Just then Gu Yixue's phone rang. It was her spiteful stepmother. The voice on the other end was sharp. Headlines had exploded with news of the Gu executive's tax evasion, and police had stormed into the company to arrest her father on the spot. Gu Changhong, proud all his life, had never suffered such humiliation that he collapsed instantly and was rushed to the ICU. The doctors demanded a massive sum for emergency surgery. Desperate, Gu Yixue begged relatives and friends for help, but met only excuses and rejection. With no way out, she was forced to turn to Liang, who agreed but only on one condition. She had to become mrs.lu. Slowly, Gu Yixue stepped toward him, hesitating, but still letting her clothes slip from her shoulders piece by piece. The man only watched with a faint smile tugging at his lips. She climbed onto him, hands brushing lightly across his chest. Their eyes locked, and for a moment time itself seemed frozen. But suddenly he shoved her hands away. "I never sleep with the same woman twice, unless I intend to keep her for life," Liang said, his tone deadly serious. "So you'd better decide, are you truly ready to share my bed?" "Liang, you really are a dog," Gu Yixue snapped, holding back her frustration. "Why can't our relationship just stay physical? You don't need to take responsibility for me. Just enjoy tonight, that's all I ask." But Liang flipped her over, pinning her against the sofa. "Get this straight. I'm not looking for a bed partner, I'm looking for amrs.lu. If you can't understand that, put your clothes back on and leave." He tossed her garments onto her body. "Or, come back once you've made up your mind. I've got plenty of patience when it comes to you." Gu Yixue hesitated, torn. "But my father's condition can't wait." "Liang, could you?" He cut her off coldly. "I told you already that I have only one condition. Everything else is off the table. For my father, I can give up my pride. But marriage lasts a lifetime. Gu Yixue, would you really rather sleep with me twice than become mrs.lu?" Inwardly, Liang sulked. "If she coaxed me just a little, I'd forgive her right now." Sighing, Gu Yixue thought, "I'll just have to find another way." She turned to leave, when a shrill voice pierced the air. "Liang, I called you so many times, why didn't you answer?" The newcomer caught sight of Gu Ishua's disheveled clothes and snapped. You shameless vixen! How dare you seduce a man all the way here? Let go, you lunatic! Gu Ishua snarled, yanking her arm free. You actually pushed me? Li Ying gasped in disbelief. Miss, you're the one who stormed in, pointing fingers without a clue, Gu Ishua shot back. If you're sick, go get treated. Don't scream nonsense at someone else's door. Furious, Li Ying lunged forward, seizing Gu Ishua's arm. You're not leaving. No one dares insult me. I'll teach you a lesson. Enough. What are you two fighting about? Liang's thunderous shout finally silenced them both. Li Ying's expression shifted instantly into pitiful sweetness. Liang, you owe me an explanation. Why is this woman here? Liang's face darkened. Since when do I need to report my private affairs to you? You're nothing more than my business partner's daughter. His words silenced her completely. If you have nothing important to say, then leave. I don't like irrelevant people lingering in my house. He turned away, his tone softening as he addressed Gu Ishua. Come on, Ishua, I'll take you home. Watching them walk off side by side, Li Ying's heart burned with unwillingness. That little tramp shouldn't celebrate too soon. Liangji is just toying with her. I'm his childhood sweetheart. We've shared over 20 years of feelings. That's not something she can steal. But Gu Ishua replied coolly, really? Some people marry within a day of meeting, while others waste a lifetime with nothing to show. That it's not fate that stops you. It's that he's simply not interested. Liang sealed it by wrapping his arm around Gu Ishua. That's right. Since the moment I met you, she's the only one I care about. Watching them so tenderly together, Li Ying trembled with rage. Why does he treat her so gently? If she dares to steal my man, I'll make her pay. A vicious plan was already brewing in her mind. A few days later, Gu Ishua headed to the hospital to visit her father. With a sharp crack, she was suddenly struck from behind and everything went black. When Gu Ishua came to, she found herself tightly bound, trapped in a cramped, pitch-dark space. Panic rose as she wondered why she had been kidnapped. A mocking laugh echoed through the shadows. So this is the great little tramp. Turns out you're nothing but the bankrupt daughter of the Gu family. Weren't you arrogant before? Let's see how you steal Liangji from me now. Li Ying tilted Gu Ishua's chin, sneering. Miss Li, I was wrong. I'll never bother Liang again. Please just let me go. Gu Ishua feigned submission. Let you go? Dream on. Do you even know where you are? Black Forest nightclub, the biggest den of pleasure in the city. Gu Ishua's eyes widened in shock as she stared at the venomous woman. What are you planning to do? You like seducing men so much. Then you'll stay here as merchandise for the rest of your life. No one here cares who you are. They'll just use you again and again until you're nothing. Realizing Li Ying wouldn't spare her, Gu Ishua switched tactics, her voice steady. Miss Li, I was with Lu last night. It was our second time. All I had to do was crook my finger and he threw himself at me. That sent Li Ying into a frenzy. She slapped Gu Ishua hard across the face. Slut! I knew it was you seducing Liang. Gu Ishua swallowed the pain and pressed on. You saw how he treats me. Don't you want to know the secret? How I managed to win him over? Interest sparked in Li Ying's eyes despite her anger. Spit it out, or I'll have you dealt with right now. Simple. Hand me your phone, Gu Ishua said firmly. Still doubtful, Li Ying slowly passed it over. Don't you dare play tricks on me. Just as Gu Ishua's mind raced for a way out, her phone suddenly rang. It was Liang calling. Her heart skipped. She hurriedly pressed accept, only for Li Ying to snatch the phone from her hand. On the line, Liang's voice came through. Hello, Ishua, have you made your decision? Why aren't you answering me? Li Ying hissed, pressing the phone to Gu Ishua's lips. One chance that if you dare say the wrong thing, I'll end you right now. Forcing calm into her voice, Gu Ishua replied, I'm here. I didn't answer earlier because I was busy. But now I'm free. As for your proposal, I've thought about it. Quick-witted, she added sweetly, by the way, darling, when exactly will I become Mrs. Lu? I don't really mind waiting, but I'm afraid Miss Li might run out of patience. At those words, Li Ying's composure shattered. Her face twisted as she slammed the call disconnected. Back at his villa, Liang stared at the screen, his frown deepening. Mrs. Lu, Miss Li, this is bad. Track Gu Ishua's phone right now. Even if I have to tear B City apart, bring her back to me. With a sharp crack, Gu Ishua suffered another slap. Li Ying shrieked. Mrs. Lu, you still dream of becoming Mrs. Lu? You brought this on yourself. She barked orders, venom dripping from her voice. Strip her. I want to see what kind of so-called chaste heroine she really is. What? Gu Yixue gasped, her pupils tightening in shock. Gu Yixue was pinned roughly to the ground by two men, her eyes brimming with despair. As one of their filthy hands reached for her, she found strength from nowhere and slapped him hard across the face. Get your hands off me. You dare hit me? He roared, clutching his burning cheek. Still acting tough. Fine, let me test the goods first. Is this really how it ends for me tonight? Gu Yixue thought bitterly, on the verge of surrendering. But just then, the door burst open with a violent kick. Liang froze at the sight of her disheveled form on the ground, his composure shattered as he lunged forward, wrapping her tightly in his arms. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. His bodyguards swarmed in, subduing every man in the room. You're safe now. Let's go home. Hearing his voice, Gu Yixue finally exhaled shakily. You finally came. Why haven't I heard Gu Yixue begging yet? You idiots can't even handle this? Li Ying stormed inside, barking her order. Liang spun around, his gaze sharp as blades. You dared kidnap my woman right under my nose. Li Ying, you must have a death wish. Liang, you know I didn't. Let me explain. Li Ying stammered, panic rising. Liang's voice dropped to a lethal chill. I don't care for your excuses. Gu Yixue is my woman. You touched her. Now be ready to pay the price. Liang, don't forget. My father is a shareholder in the corporation. If you touch me, he won't just stand by. Li Ying finally dropped the mask. Liang's eyes turned to ice. A minor shareholder means nothing to me. Li Ying, you should be grateful I'm not as vile as you. From this day forward, you'll spend your life in a mental institution. No, I don't want that. Li, I was wrong. I swear I was wrong, she screamed. But Liang ignored her cries. Instead, he bent down and gently lifted Gu Yixue into his arms, vowing silently, I'll never let anyone hurt you again. Xiaoshu, a gentle voice called softly in her ear. In her haze she whispered, Mother, is that you? Xiaoshu, my daughter, the voice replied, tender and warm. Mother, you came to take me home. You always told me to be strong, to be brave. I'm sorry, Mother. I can't hold on much longer. Xiaoshu is coming to join you. Yixue. Gu Yixue. Another voice pierced through, pulling her back from the edge of the dream. She slowly opened her eyes, and the first thing she saw was that familiar handsome face hovering above her. Dazed, she murmured, Is this a hospital? In the hospital, Gu Yixue slowly opened her eyes. The moment she saw the man beside her, she shoved him away. Get out. Don't touch me. Liang said calmly, Relax. The nurse changed your clothes. I didn't take advantage of you. I'm suffering this disaster all thanks to you. She snapped. Then her eyes widened. She remembered her father in the ward and hurried to get out of bed. But her legs gave way and she nearly collapsed, only for Liang to catch her in time. Stay away from me, Lu Xiao. Next time I might end up beaten half to death by one of your admirers. Ignoring her sarcasm, Liang scooped her up in a princess carry. Come on, Dad, I'll take you to see Dad. You're injured. The doctor said you need rest. I promise you, this won't happen again. She looked at him, startled by the rare seriousness on his face. Is he apologizing to me? A faint warmth spread through her chest. Lu Xiao, I hope you mean it, she murmured. Outside the ward, Liang glanced at the anxious Gu Yixue and said evenly, The operation was performed by one of the top surgeons in the country. It went well. You don't need to worry. You paid for my father's surgery, didn't you? He raised an eyebrow. Who else? Or did you think it was that married ex-boyfriend of yours? What do you mean by that? Gu Yixue narrowed her eyes, catching the implication in his tone. See for yourself, Liang replied coolly. She glanced at her phone and saw a message from her ex-boyfriend. Rage flared instantly. After being caught in bed with another woman, he still dares to message me. Shameless. Without hesitation, she blocked him on the spot. Decisive of you, Liang teased. I don't need your sarcasm, Gu Yixue snapped back. He softened, pulling her into his arms. I'm not mocking you. I just feel for you. She scoffed lightly. In the end, aren't all men the same? But Liang's tone was resolute. You've seen your father. Now it's time to see our wedding house. Staring at the man before her, memories flooded back. How he paid for her father's surgery, punished President Jin and rescued her from Li Ying. Her guarded heart slowly began to soften. After a long silence she whispered, "All right, that I'll marry you." Liang's eyes lit up with unrestrained joy. "Really? You'll marry me? Tell me, Lu Xiao, have you ever heard of a contract marriage? A union in name only without the physical part." Gu Yishue's tone was icy. Liang's face darkened instantly that he slammed her against the wall. "Gu Yishue, did you forget? I'm a man with plenty of energy. Looks like I need to remind you what happened that night." As his face drew closer, Gu Yishue blurted out in embarrassment, Liang, are you insane? This is a hospital." Unfortunately, the scene was witnessed by passing nurses. Being ogled like some circus act made Gu Yishue want to crawl into a hole. Blushing furiously, she could only vent her frustration on Liang. A few days later, inside a luxurious villa, the saleslady enthusiastically introduced the property to them. But her gaze kept lingering strangely on Gu Yishue's right cheek, making her uncomfortable. Liang muttered dryly, "The last time I felt this awkward was last time." He then spoke as if it were his own tour. "Compared to the villas in West Garden, the only downside here is the smaller size. What do you think? 500 square meters and he calls it small. Damn capitalist," Gu Yishue cursed silently. However, outwardly she kept calm. "A house may have size," she said softly, "but a home never does." Hearing those words, Liang fell into thought, recalling his ex-girlfriend, who always demanded the biggest, the grandest, the most extravagant. In contrast, the woman before him seemed so gentle, so grounded, that his hand instinctively reached to caress her cheek. "Don't start with that nonsense," Gu Yishue cut him off, sliding a document toward him. "This is a prenuptial agreement I drafted. Take a look." But Liang brushed it aside, pulling her firmly into his arms. "No rush, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that later." Over dinner, Gu Yishue finally voiced her curiosity. "I don't get it. You don't strike me as the type to fall for someone after one night, so why won't you let go of me?" He grinned. "Because you're irresistible." She arched a brow. "Do you really think I'd buy that?" Just then an unwelcome voice cut in. "President Lu, what a coincidence, you're dining here too?" A young couple strolled toward their table. Upon learning of Liang's upcoming marriage, the woman's face froze in disbelief. "A wedding house? Liang, you're getting married? And what does this have to do with you, Miss Sui?" Gu Yishue asked coolly. "So this is the bride-to-be?" Sui smiled, her gaze sharp as she stepped closer to Gu Yishue. With a delicate flick, a wine glass accidentally toppled, its contents splashing all over Gu Yishue's dress. Exactly as intended. Liang's face darkened at once, nostrils flaring, fury surging just beneath the surface. Sui hurried forward with feigned concern. "Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Who would have thought the man who's always untouched by women would actually be tamed by you?" Gu Yishue, however, had seen such petty tricks far too many times to be rattled. In the restroom, rinsing her stained dress, she brooded. That was deliberate. What exactly is Sui's relationship with Liang? Just then Sui sauntered in, perfume thick in the air. Chanel No. 5, so breezy, so fresh. But Liang hates this scent, what a sour stench. She sneered, "If you want to stay by his side for long, there's only one way, imitate me." Gu Yishue nearly laughed aloud. Good grief. Did Liang Jingru personally hand you this courage? Studying Sui with amusement, she smirked. The mistress telling the fiancé to copy her. That's one hell of a twisted logic. Now that I look closely, you're basically a knockoff version of me. No wonder Liang keeps you around. Sui sneered, reaching out to touch Gu Yishue's face. Gu Yishue caught her wrist midair, eyes cold. Are you done, sister? Should I imitate you, end up abandoned like you did? At best, you're just a forgotten ex. Seeing Zui's pupil's contract, she pressed harder. Let's be clear, I'm the wife of the man you're still drooling over. Zui smirked, unfazed. He only brought you in front of me to make me jealous. Gu Yishue almost laughed at her shamelessness. Fine then. Why don't you come witness our happiness at our wedding? Of course, that's if Liang even bothers to send you an invitation. That cut deep. Zui snapped, lunging to grab at Gu Yishue's dress. But Gu Yixue reacted instantly, gripping her hand tight. What do you think you're doing? Zui Yi's true intent was clear. She'd wanted to rip her dress. But caught red-handed, she quickly plastered on innocence. Why so nervous? I was only fixing your hem. Seeing her composed expression, Gu Yixue's chest tightened. This woman, she's dangerous. Far from simple. Back in the restaurant, the two of them acted in perfect sync, pretending nothing had happened at all. But Liang, ever observant, noticed the change. Yixue, why the long face? How about I take you shopping later? Gu Yixue shot back coldly. No need. I can't afford President Lu's generosity. He ignored her sarcasm, lips curving faintly. Besides you, who else would I ever want to accompany? Talk properly. Don't lean so close. Gu Yixue jerked her hand back sharply. Watching from nearby, Zui Yi see the so she can actually keep her composure. Her grudging respect for Gu Yixue rose another notch. Then, with a calculated smile, she sauntered over to their table. I was planning to apologize to Mrs.Lu for my earlier rudeness, but seeing how well you two are chatting, perhaps we might even become friends? I don't see any need for us to have contact at all. Gu Yixue cut her off without the slightest courtesy. Mrs.Lu, you call me that once, twice, over and over. What are you, a servant? Or is Lu the only word you keep in your heart, Miss Sua? What's that supposed to mean? Zui Yi's face hardened. Qin Ershao, standing beside her, narrowed his eyes suspiciously. Zui Yi, do you still have feelings for Lu Liang? Of course not. We broke up long ago. To me, Mr. Lu is nothing more than an ex-boyfriend. Zui Yi rushed to explain. Under Gu Yixue's steady gaze, Lu Liang looked a little guilty. Only when there were feelings can someone be called an ex. Without them, they're just a passerby. After all these years, you still misunderstand me so deeply. Zui Yi's heart sank with quiet hurt. But we've already broken up. Dwelling on the past, that's not the Liang I once knew. She forced a faint smile. Watching this little green tea act, Gu Yixue sighed inwardly. Seems like if I don't stake my claim, she'll never know who the queen is here. Suddenly, she leaned forward. Then, to everyone's shock, she sat right down on Lu Liang's lap. Let's call this the beginning of our partnership, she whispered. Darling, when are we going home? The tea here is far too sour. I really can't drink it anymore. Then let's leave. Lu Liang lifted her hand and kissed her fingers with gentlemanly grace. Watching their perfect harmony, Zui Yi seethed inside, forcing herself to stay calm. As long as I secure Qin Shaoyang, I'll still have a path back to Liang. On the surface, she smiled sweetly. Seeing how loving you two are makes me relieved. But Lu Liang cut her off coldly. Miss Sui, my relationship with my wife is none of your concern. President Lu, Zui Yi was only being kind. Qin Shaoyang tried to smooth things over. Lu Liang sneered. Being kind to another man isn't a habit worth keeping. Qin Ershao, you'd better watch that. With that, he turned, leading Gu Yixue away in style. Left behind, the two wore complicated expressions. Suspicion stirred in Qin Shaoyang's chest. Zui Yi, do you still have feelings for Lu Liang? Of course not. Don't be silly, Shaoyang. She quickly shifted the subject, smiling sweetly. By the way, I have a performance next month. You'll come, won't you? No one noticed the subtle motion of her hand just then. A scheme was quietly brewing. But she didn't know the last person who tried this ended up in a mental asylum. After dinner, Lu Liang personally drove Gu Yixue home. As she stepped out, he suddenly caught her hand. Off balance, she toppled straight into his arms. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. Not going to invite me upstairs. After all, I just had the pleasure of meeting your oh-so-gracious ex. No woman wants her husband keeping ties with his ex, Gu Yixue said firmly, locking eyes with him. His gaze softened, overflowing with affection. Since the day I met you, I've never had room in my heart for any other woman. Damn it, why does this man always manage to fluster me? Gu Yixue cursed inwardly, her cheeks heating. No, I have to turn this around. Gu Yixue slowly wrapped her arms around Lu Liang's neck, whispering, Funny, Miss Sui seems to know you so well. She even knows you dislike the scent of my perfume. But it's too late. I'm already hopelessly bewitched by you, especially after that night. This woman was wicked. 1 second gazing at him tenderly, the next she spun on her heel and slid out of the car. Lu Liang instinctively tried to pull her back, but the thin seatbelt between them became an unbridgeable wall. He on this side, she on the other. utterly helpless against her whims. Outside the car, Gu Yixue wore a triumphant smile. Finally she'd managed to make him flustered. Even the air tasted sweet. But the sweetness didn't last. Turning around, she froze at the sight of a face she despised. Her ex Mu Xiaochen waiting for her. Watching her step out of Lu Liang's car, Mu Xiaochen's expression sank. Ishu, did you really sell yourself out for a mere 30,000? And what does that have to do with you? Gu Yixue shot back icily, not bothering to explain. Ishu, I'm worried about you. I could have given you that money. Why go to another man instead? Mu Xiaochen's voice was raw with urgency. We've been done for a long time. Who I'm with now is none of your business. By the way, does your wife know you're here? Mu Xiaochen froze in place and Gu Yixue almost laughed at the absurdity. Greedy for both the bowl and the pot. Some men won't learn their place unless they're nailed to the wall. Don't leave. Mu Xiaochen suddenly grabbed her arm. What are you doing? Let go of me, she snapped. You're this cold to me. Is it because of Lu Liang? He pressed. So you never even thought cheating was wrong. I regret ever liking you. Gu Yixue spat, eyes filled with disgust. Seeing her pained expression, he released her abruptly, muttering, I didn't mean to, but Lu Liang is a playboy. With him you'll never end well. A playboy? Mr. Mu, are you talking about me? A low, mocking voice drifted over. Funny, I didn't even know I carried such a flashy reputation. Ignoring the slanderer behind him, Lu Liang strode straight to Gu Yixue's side. I was going to wait for you to get home, but didn't expect to witness such a farce here. With a single glance, the two of them understood each other without words. Lu Liang turned, his tone like ice. To provoke my woman right in front of me. Mr. Mu, you're braver than I thought. But the scumbag still put up a front. I hope President Lu won't say things that could give people the wrong idea about Yixue. Lu Liang only smirked, pulling Gu Yixue naturally into his arms. Then let me make it clear, we're getting married soon. Mu Xiaochen's face twisted in disbelief. That can't be true, can it? It's true, Gu Yixue replied coldly. We already looked at our wedding house today. Once my father recovers, we'll be married. Mu Xiaochen, we ended long ago. Stop pestering me. The more you cling, the more pathetic you look in my eyes. With Mu Xiaochen staring after them in despair, the two walked away with effortless grace. The scene shifted, back to 3 years ago. On that day, Gu Yixue lost the person dearest to her, her mother. Crushed by grief, she longed only for comfort in her boyfriend's arms, hoping his embrace could soothe the wounds in her heart. When she stepped into Mu Xiaochen's house 3 years ago, the sight before her shattered her world, dragging her into the lowest point of her life. It felt like the sky itself was collapsing. In that moment she swore she would never forgive this disgusting scumbag again. Back to the present. Mu Xiaochen's phone rang. His current wife had found out about him sneaking off to see Gu Yixue. On the other end, Xie Jianing erupted, screaming curses through the receiver. I told you before we got married, I never loved you. You insisted on marrying me, so don't expect too much from me now. With that he hung up abruptly, ignoring her shrieks. Staring at Gu Yixue's fading figure, Mu Xiaochen once again fell into brooding silence. Back at her place, Gu Yixue quickly thanked Lu Liang for stepping in earlier. He smirked. A simple thank you, that's all? Aren't you going to invite me upstairs? Not today, another time, I'll treat you to dinner. Dinner's fine, but I'd rather eat you. Gu Yixue shot him a withering glare. Again with this. What is it with you domineering sus? Will you die if you don't flirt for a single day? Gu Yixue was about to formally bid him goodbye, but Lu Liang stopped her, his gaze deadly serious. Back when you faced Cui Yi, you told me, no woman wants her husband tangled with an ex. Well, as a man, I don't want my woman's heart stirred by her ex either. Staring at the jealous glint in his eyes, Gu Yixue fell silent. What she didn't realize was that the most vulnerable part of her heart was slowly being moved by this man. After sending Lu Liang away, Gu Yixue brought her father back home. Her stepmother rushed forward, yanking him away and loudly proclaiming how worried she had been. Gu Yixue simply watched the shameless woman, her chest tightening with unspeakable bitterness. And just then Mu Xiaochen and Xie Jianing appeared again like lingering ghosts. Why do I keep running into them everywhere? She cursed inwardly. Truly bad luck. Without another word she turned and slipped into her bedroom, out of sight, out of mind. In the living room, Mu Yakin beamed as she clasped Xie Jianning's hand. Perfect timing that I have a special gift for you. A few minutes later, Xie Jianning bounced over to Mu Shaochen proudly showing off. Look, your aunt just gave me this bracelet. She said it's a Mu family heirloom for the daughter-in-law and told me to treasure it. So one day I can bear children for the Mu family that she's already acting like my mother-in-law. Gu Yixue's stepmother Mu Yakin happened to be that very aunt. Hearing this, Mu Shaochen's face stiffened, displeasure written all over it. Xie Jianning noticed, silently grumbling. Everything about Shaochen is fine, except he's far too cold, especially in bed. Still, she kept her composure, smiling sweetly. Your aunt was even urging us to have a child soon. You're still a child yourself, Mu Shaochen shot back dryly. Just then, a cold voice cut through the air. If you two can't control yourselves, at least don't make a scene in my house. The uninvited guests' arrival shattered their little moment. Mu Shaochen shoved the woman in his arms aside, blurting, It's not what it looks like. This is all a misunderstanding. Xie Jianning's eyes widened, jealousy burning inside. Her again. Why is it that every time she shows up, Shaochen only has eyes for her? I'll make Gu Yixue pay, a lesson she'll never forget. As they sat down for dinner, her gaze flicked toward the steaming soup in Gu Yixue's hands. A sinister thought flashed through her mind. Here's my chance. This woman was utterly ridiculous. Seeing someone carrying a bowl of hot soup, she lunged forward as if eager to splash it all over her own face. As expected, she got what she wanted, clutching her scalded skin and screaming in pain. Under the bewildered stares of everyone around, she threw herself into her boyfriend's arms, desperate for sympathy. Shaochen, please don't blame Ishi. It wasn't really her fault, Xie Jianning whimpered pitifully. Her stepmother and father immediately chimed in, demanding Gu Yixue apologize. Their words stabbed into her heart like sharp thorns. Staring at the two women putting on a pathetic act, Gu Yixue's anger erupted. Wake up! It's already 2022. Do you really think your lousy acting can fool anyone? Oh, forgive me, I forgot. You have to maintain your innocent little flower persona, don't you? Mu Yakin instantly lost her temper, jumping out to scold her for being ill-mannered. Gu Yixue didn't back down, she met her head-on, firing back without hesitation. But then her own father spoke up, scolding her for being disrespectful. His words cut deep. Every time there's conflict, no matter who's right or wrong, you always make me back down. You even threw me out of the country back then. She drew in a sharp breath, her eyes resolute. The old me would have kept swallowing it, but from now on, I'll never let it happen again. You wretched girl, who do you think you're scaring? I'm the mistress of this house. Mu Yakin roared, raising her hand to strike her. But before the slap could land, a strong arm seized Mu Yakin's wrist in midair. So this is how you treat Yixue when I'm not around? Liang's voice thundered, his face dark with fury. Why are you here? Gu Yixue whispered. If I hadn't come, I wouldn't have known how much you suffer in this so-called home. At the sight of him, her father and stepmother instantly changed their faces, falling over themselves with flattery. Liang's tone was icy. I came here to discuss Yixue's marriage, but since she's treated this poorly in the Gu family, there's no need for further discussion. His words pierced deeper than any scolding. Gu Yixue realized bitterly that the father she thought cared for her had long treated her as an outsider. If that's the case, what is there left to cling to? She swore silently. From this day forward, she would live only for herself. Leaving the Gu household, Liang said bluntly, Come, we're going to register our marriage. Catching her startled look, he pulled out the household registration book. Your stepmother already sent this to my office. Staring at the little red booklet in his hand, Gu Yixue could only sigh at the cruelty of the world, her heart a swirl of complicated emotions. At that moment, Liang slowly revealed an exquisite box. Inside lay a dazzling bling-bling diamond ring. With unprecedented seriousness he said, Gu Yixue, marry me. From now on your life is my responsibility. Yixue blinked, teasing softly, That's a unique proposal, President Lu. Aren't you supposed to kneel? In all my life I've never knelt to anyone, he admitted, eyes unwavering. But if it's for you, I'm willing. With those words, he lowered his head and kissed her slender fingers tenderly. I can't take this. This man is way too good at flirting, she screamed inwardly. After a whirlwind afternoon, Ishua stared at the marriage certificate in her hands, feeling as if she were dreaming. She never imagined things would come to this. Now it's time we rest, Liang said softly as he approached. It's my first time being married, so I may lack experience, but we're legally husband and wife now. You'll have to get used to it. In her conflicted, half-resisting gaze, their silhouettes drew closer and closer. The next morning, Gu Ishua woke up sore all over as if her body no longer belonged to her. Thankfully he hadn't gone full beast mode. Turns out the novels had exaggerated all along. As the door clicked open, Liang walked in. You're up already? I brought breakfast. Come eat with me. Liang, why are you still here? This is our marital home, not a hotel. Sorry, I'm just not used to living with you yet. She stumbled as she got out of bed, but he caught her firmly in his arms. Looks like you'll have to get used to me always being by your side. He opened the wardrobe casually. Pick something you like to wear. Inside were rows of clothes, all her favorite styles. For just a moment she felt she hadn't married the wrong man after all. At breakfast, noticing his wife lost in thought, Liang asked, "What's on your mind?" "I was wondering, does this mean from now on I'll always have to face you over breakfast?" she muttered. "I doubt it, that we're not even that close yet," she added, treating him like a mere housemate. Her words lit a fire in the CEO's chest. He yanked her into his embrace with a sly grin. "You know, compared to breakfast, you look far more appetizing. I'm already addicted to the sweetness of you." "Oh, give me a break." Gu Ishue groaned inwardly. Another cringy so quote. +1. While his face overflowed with doting affection, ready to snuggle closer, she pushed him away with a serious look, because she knew once she gave in there'd be no turning back. Since Gu Ishue had decided to return home today, Liang asked with a frown, "Are you sure you really want to do this?" "Yes, I want to return the household registration book and make a clean break." "Perfect. After what happened yesterday, I should settle the score with them too." They soon arrived at the Gu residence. The housemaid rushed forward. "Quick, prepare, President Lu. If we'd known you were coming, we'd have been ready." Liang and Gu Ishue exchanged a look of disdain. "No need. I'm only here today to accompany Ishue." Seeing her parents bowing and scraping before Liang, Gu Ishue felt nothing but indifference. "Forget it. Just give them back the household book and let's go." Her father forced a smile. "President Lu, a friend at the civil office told me he saw you and Ishue register yesterday?" "That's right. In half a month, we'll hold the wedding. Invitations will be delivered." As soon as the words left his mouth, Mu Yakin shamelessly cut in. "President Lu, why not let the Gu family handle the new Hongyu construction project you secured?" Liang's tone turned frosty. "Whether you can handle it is one thing. But even if you could, you'll follow proper channels. Don't think of using my connections." "What nonsense. The Gu family fed and clothed you all these years. Now it's your turn to repay us." Her vicious stepmother's ugliness showed in full. Liang sneered. "Pathetic that it's 2022 and people still try moral blackmail. Mu Yakin, whatever the Gu family gave me, it certainly wasn't thanks to you." Hearing this, Mu Yakin completely lost control, raising her hand to strike, only to be restrained firmly by Gu's father. With a sharp crash, Liang slammed a cup down, cutting through the heated quarrel. "Ishue is my wife. Are you seriously treating her this way in front of me?" "Of course not," Mu Yakin forced a smile. "I was only trying to discipline her a little, so she won't disobey you in the future." "Ishue, stay here with President Lu," her father quickly jumped in. "I'll have a word with your Aunt Mu." He dragged Mu Yakin away in a hurry. Liang sighed. "Sorry you had to see that. I didn't expect her to so shamelessly demand benefits right in front of us." His gaze locked onto her, soft yet intense. "When you stood up for me and stopped Gu's from meddling with Hongyu construction, you looked breathtaking. From now on, I'll be by your side. Whatever the Gu family or anyone else throws your way, I'll handle it for you." But his sweet words failed to move Gu Ishue. Outwardly, she remained indifferent, leaving Liang with nothing but a wounded expression. "Give me the household book. I'll return it to my father and then we'll leave." Inwardly, he fumed. This heartless woman, she's not even touched in the slightest. Finally slipping free from Liang's clutches, Gu Ishue let out a quiet sigh of relief. All her earlier calmness had just been a facade. Best to return the book to her father quickly and end this. She had no idea. The next scene she overheard would mark the turning point of her entire life. How could you be so ruthless? Using Ishue to secure a project is no different from selling her off. She isn't my daughter, and she's not yours either. Every word drifted clearly to Gu Ishue's ears from outside the door. I raised Ishue with my own hands. After all these years, she's as dear to me as my own flesh and blood. Her father's voice trembled. If you hadn't insisted on marrying into the Gu family back then, I wouldn't have had to give birth out of wedlock and pass Xiaochen to my brother. He is our real son. Ishue's heart pounded violently outside the door. Mu Xiaochen was their biological child all along. Yes, I've wronged you, but Ishue is innocent. Innocent. You defend her because you can't forget that cheap woman Gu Wan. If not for her, I wouldn't have gone without a husband all these years, unable to reclaim my place in the family. Let me smash this photo frame. With that, Mu Yakin raised the frame high, ready to shatter it. But Gu Ishue burst in, snatching her mother's portrait away. What right do you have to touch my mother's picture? Her sudden appearance stunned them both. Ishue? How long have you been there? Did you hear everything? Ishue's eyes brimmed with tears, her voice shaking. Tell me, was everything she said true? Am I really not your biological daughter? Still acting like some highborn lady. Who do you think you are? Just a bastard child with no father. Mu Yakin spat before Gu's father could even speak. And what about you? You're Mu Xiaochen's birth mother, and my father's so-called lover all these years. Gu Ishue shot back coldly. That's right. If it hadn't been for your mother, we would have been married long ago. Your mother was nothing but a shameless mistress. Before she could finish, Gu Ishue's hand clamped tightly around her throat. Say whatever you want about me, but if you insult my mother again, I'll cut your tongue out. Her fierce aura stunned Mu Yakin into silence, too shaken to continue. Hearing the commotion upstairs, Liang slowly ascended, his face dark as thunder. Quite the temper, Mrs. Gu. To insult my wife like that. Are you tired of living? Panicked, Gu's father quickly intervened. Liang, please don't misunderstand, Yakin meant no harm. But Liang ignored him. Walking straight to Gu Ishue's side, that he grasped her hand firmly, offering silent comfort. Let this be the last time. Otherwise, the entire Gu family will learn what it means to cross my woman. Pale and trembling, the couple could only nod frantically. Everyone present knew. It was true, wealth gave him absolute power. Ishu, let's go, Liang said coldly. But Gu Ishue stopped in her tracks. Wait, did I still need an answer? Who was the man who was with my mother back then? Gu Changhong only shook his head slowly, his voice heavy. I was merely the Gu family's adopted son. I know nothing about your real parents. I only married your mother on paper, a husband in name. I never interfered in her private affairs. I understand. Gu Ishue drew a deep breath, her eyes firm. Then I'll find the truth myself. With that, she turned with Liang and walked away without hesitation. No sooner had they left than Mu Yakin sneered, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Your talent for lying has really reached perfection. Shut up. A resounding slap echoed through the room. Mu Yakin froze in disbelief. This man had never raised his voice at her, let alone his hand. Stay out of the Gu family's past, or you won't even know how you'll die. Gu Changhong's tone was ice cold. Seeing his grim expression, Mu Yakin finally wilted. Jiu Changhong released her, his eyes clouded with fear. That man, even Liang might not dare provoke him. I can't afford to bring disaster on myself. On the way back, Gu Ishue clutched her mother's portrait, lost in thought. Liang remained silent, quietly walking beside her. After a long while, she finally lifted her head, her voice steady but low. Can you use your connections to help me find the man who was with my mother 20 years ago? Even 20 years ago, I might not be able to uncover any trace of it, Liang admitted grimly. But if what Gu Changhong said is true and my father really abandoned my mother, I won't rest until I get justice for her. Gu Ishue's eyes burned with resolve. Seeing his stubborn yet irresistibly adorable wife, Liang could no longer hold back. He pulled her in for a kiss, the two of them lost in passion in the back seat. The driver in the front silently rolled his eyes, wondering if he was just an unnecessary extra. Realizing the awkwardness, Gu Ishue shoved him away. What do you think you're doing? The usually domineering Xiu even looked a bit shy. I just wanted to kiss you. With her face blushing in confusion, Liang suddenly leaned in again, his hands wandering boldly across her body. Gu Ishue could only plead helplessly. Answer me one thing and I'll stop. His lips brushed her ear. Last night, how did it feel? Gu Ishue's cheeks turned crimson. She quickly clamped her hand over his mouth. No way could she bring herself to answer such an indecent question. Seeing her flustered, Liang chuckled, finally satisfied. All right, I won't tease you anymore. I booked us a private studio to take wedding photos. Let's go check it out. Gu Ishue stomped her foot, half embarrassed, half angry. Liang, you did that on purpose. How can I not adore you, Ishue? When you blush like that, it makes me want to. Shut up. Say one more word and I'll bite you. All right, I'll stop. Let's go look at the wedding gowns. After a round of playful bickering, the two finally settled down. Gu Ishue sighed inwardly. This shameless man really found joy in teasing her. Soon they arrived at the bridal boutique. Mrs. Lu, you're the most stunning bride I've ever seen. Yes, indeed, this gown was designed by a world-renowned master. The attendants chimed in one after another, showering her with compliments. President Lu treats you so well. Honestly, without your status and grace, no one else could ever pull off such a gown. Gazing at her in the wedding dress, Liang couldn't help but murmur, Ishue, you look breathtaking. It's just a dress. Don't tell me you're about to lose control again. Wrong. His eyes darkened with heat. With you dressed or not, I never have control. Seriously. Can you not flirt like this in public? Gu Ishue shot him a glare. At that moment the sales assistant stepped forward eagerly. So, do you like it? Whether it's perfect or not, that's up to my wife to decide, Liang said firmly. Gu Ishue arched a brow. You really want me to be honest? I don't like things too extravagant. It's just a wedding, not the end of the world. Seeing his wife dismiss the extravagant gown, saying marriage itself wasn't such a big deal, Liang's heart sank. So marrying him meant little to her after all. To the outside world their union looked glamorous, but in truth, both carried their own hidden agendas. If you don't like it, then let's just get rid of it, Liang said coldly, speaking out of spite. The sales assistant was dumbfounded. A wedding dress worth over $1 million, and this man wanted to discard it as if it were nothing. Is this guy insane? Throwing away something that expensive? She thought before hearing Gu Ishue quietly call her over and whisper something in her ear. Meanwhile, Liang sat silently, sulking. Noticing, Gu Ishue snatched the lighter from his hand. No smoking in here. Liang narrowed his eyes. Oh, and what exactly did you whisper to her? I told her, if anyone's interested, we could sell the gown at a discount. With all the rich people coming through here, it won't be hard to find a buyer. Liang gave a dry laugh. So in your eyes, I'm just the fool footing the bill? Well, since you don't need it, why not let me make a little profit? I can use the money to buy things for our wedding. Isn't that a win-win? She replied matter-of-factly. Liang looked pitiful. But didn't you say, our marriage isn't really that big of a deal? I just don't like those flashy, meaningless displays, Gu Ishue replied coolly. So you do care about me, right? Before she could answer, he pulled her into his arms and kissed her hard. That night, the two once again lost themselves in shameless passion. Gu Ishue had tried to stay detached, yet she found herself enjoying it, falling deeper with every touch. The next morning, sore all over, she got up only to find the mighty Xiu dressed in homely loungewear, looking more like a househusband than a tycoon. Ishue, taste this and see if it suits you, he said proudly. The great Lu Shao cooking with his own hands, she never thought she'd see the day. Ignoring the doubts swirling in her mind, Liang bent down, kissed her forehead and smiled. Eat up. I'll grab a quick shower. A contract marriage where I get breakfast in bed. Gu Ishue couldn't help but think it was absurd. Just as she picked up her chopsticks, a knock came at the door. Knock knock. She frowned, put down her bowl and went to open it. Standing outside was a stranger. Still polite, Gu Ishue greeted her warmly and asked the purpose of her visit. The woman didn't even glance at her properly. I'm Liang's mother, Yi Manqing, she said coldly. Gu Ishue's heart sank. There was something strange in the way this woman looked at her, yet she still forced a polite smile and introduced herself. I don't care who you are. If you had any sense, you'd leave right now. There are plenty of ways for a woman to make money. Selling your body to please a man is the lowest of them all. What an opening line. But Gu Yixue wasn't about to be intimidated. Madam, I'm sorry to disappoint you. As of yesterday, I am your son's lawful wife. Not only this house but even your son, he's mine now. Yi Manqing froze, stunned that a daughter-in-law would dare speak so boldly. If you are truly the woman my son chose, then how can you talk to me this way? My attitude depends on yours, Gu Yixue replied evenly. I hope you'll be kinder in the future. Otherwise, I can't promise our coexistence will stay peaceful. Sharp-tongued little girl, Yi Manqing muttered, though her tone softened. Gu Yixue simply smiled. Thank you for the compliment, but if there's nothing else, I need to get to work. Just then Liang came out of the bathroom fresh from his shower, casually greeting his mother. Liang, what's going on with this woman? Yi Manqing demanded. Ignoring his mother's sharp question, Liang walked straight to Gu Yixue's side. You haven't even finished your breakfast. Why so eager to leave? Believe it or not, your mother and I became mortal enemies in just a few minutes, Gu Yixue muttered. I know exactly what my mom's like. Sorry you had to endure that. I'll have the driver take you to the office, Liang said softly. Don't forget to eat breakfast. Got it. The two parted ways under Yi Manqing's dark, watchful gaze. As soon as he returned, Yi Manqing snapped. Liang, who is that woman? She's utterly rude. Gu Yixue, was it? Whatever her name is, get rid of her at once. She has no manners. Liang smirked coldly. Mom, looks like you still don't get it that she's the illegitimate daughter of your current husband, Fu Jingxuan. What? Yi Manqing froze in shock. You deliberately sought out your stepfather's bastard daughter and married her. What on earth are you plotting? His eyes hardened. When my father died, you ignored my objections and rushed straight into your first love's arms. If you choose his side again, it doesn't surprise me anymore. With his mother's gasp echoing behind him, Liang turned and walked away, his figure sharp and unyielding. Back in the car, buried memories resurfaced. He whispered to himself, at this point I couldn't care less about anyone else, only Yixue matters.